Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, I want to welcome you once again to Euroforum. This is your platform where we've chosen to always come back every week, once or twice, to make a refill. So we've now again gotten a privilege to come make a refill and add to. Yeah, so excuse me for that. In the first place, I want to apologize that we are so late. A colleague of ours doing the broadcasts was involved in an accident, but we thank God that there wasn't such serious injuries. So excuse us, it's not our discipline that we always take you for granted. Yes, but it's a privilege to be here again. We want to thank you for always keeping on track Euroforum. It is the International Mother's Day. Maybe it's not the international, because here in Norway, Mother's Day was some time back in March. Yes, but it's the Mother's Day in many countries, and we want to greet you all, mothers out there. We want to send you greetings and applaud you, thanking you for being such pillars in our societies. Moses Mugisha is my name. I'm right here in Oslo, Norway, and we've come back here again with a gentleman living in Stockholm, Sweden. We've had him here on a couple of occasions where I've spoken on a couple of moving and very impressive aspects. Faizal Luttamaguzi, he also stands and works as the proprietor of Tours of Stockholm. Tours of Stockholm has also branches in London and New York, where it also has the brand name Tours of London and Tours of New York. We've come back to take another part of the topic we once had here, beyond the challenge. It's inspired, and it was inspired then by the life we live, where we are entangled in so many stresses, entangled in so many challenges. And the question is always, what is in there beyond the challenge? I want to request you, anyone out there, please invite a friend, share this show, share the link. Come interact. Beyond the challenge, we have so much to share. A comment, a message, and please feel free to call the number +47 40 57 40 40. That's a WhatsApp number. In between the show, you may feel the comfort of making a call, drop a message in the chats, or drop a WhatsApp message. So whatever suits you, please feel comfortable. Yes, we shall just play two songs praising and thanking our mothers for the great work they do. But just before that, I'll request our guests. Faizal Luttamaguzi, please greet our viewers.
Yes, Moses, as always, it is a pleasure to be spending some quality time with you in this forum. I'm always humbled to be back, and it always fills me with a joy to see.
Faizal, I don't seem to. Okay, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yes, as I was saying, it's always a pleasure to be back in this forum with you, and I am humbled that you've invited me back to speak with the viewers, and it always fills me with joy to see the comments in the Facebook that people do have conversations around the topics that we discuss here. So, as always, this is what I'm hoping for, and to entice conversation, to hopefully someone taking anything of value from the conversation we're having. So, yeah, pleasure to be here again.
Yes, thank you so much, Faizal. Yes, it's the Mother's Day, a day where we find something special to bring up. Of course, many believe that every day should be the Mother's Day, which I also agree to. Yes, but this is a very special one. But just before that, we want to send our thoughts and condolences to the families of the deceased, so many people that perished in a bus accident that happened sometime this week. Our thoughts go to you, and we pray that the Lord God strengthens you. And to those still battling injuries in hospitals, may the God of comfort, heal you, and put you back in good shape. There is a very old song here, but so many people find some very moving messages in it. Yes, so sorry for that. Yeah, there was a bit of interruption, but it's a Mother's Day song. It's a song sending a message to mothers, and I want to dedicate this song to all the mothers out there. A very special dedication to Hajat Mariam Nyombia and all other beautiful ladies who share a bloodline with her. Happy Mother's Day to you all. Yes, Faisal, it is always a privilege to come and share thoughts and interactions with you. We've so far had two shows where we've had very amazing views and concepts that sometimes I fail to understand. I remember just before we started, I remember when we started the last show we had with you. There is somewhere at the start of the show where you said that you at times love to engage people. I mean, people to share interactions on topics that seem so obvious. You mentioned that you had a group of friends where you were out for maybe dinner, and people were arguing out that, of course, people always say that I love my daughter so much. I mean, I love my son, I love my child more than anything in the world. And by this, surprisingly, before people get a child, people call lovers sweethearts. I love you to the whatever people tell one another. And your argument was you wonder how things shift immediately. That someone loves like your girlfriend, you love more than anything. And then when you get a child, immediately you switch the love to the child and you wondered why. You told me that you keep on engaging people on this every time you get a chance. In between then and now, have you gotten an answer to this? Why people immediately switch the love they had for partners to their children immediately?
Well, first, let me clarify. I don't think I specifically meant that a love switches. I was curious more around the fact if it is the given that you assume that this will be the case. Because what I've learned since last time we spoke about this topic, of course, is very interesting because when you ask somebody the question, you love your partner to the point where you want to spend the rest of your life with them. Yes. Okay. Once you and your partner gets a child, do you love the child more than you love your partner? Is that a given yes or no? And of course, I think the immediate answer is that they're two different loves, right? A child needs you as their parent, as their guardian. A child needs you to survive, whereas a partner doesn't need you, right? You choose to love them every day. It's a choice that must be taken every day. Whereas a child, in order for them to survive, in order for them to even grow to be somewhat of a human being, they, of course, I love my child. When you start a question to more than I love, and forsake my partner and the child. Whereas the other person in the couple can say, no, I think the child only exists because of the love to my partner. The child is only an extension of this love, and therefore this love is the original love, if you will. And so this type of answers really fascinates me, because once you ask these questions, in some cases you learn people haven't thought about this, or even funnier, they haven't discussed this among themselves. So there are dynamics there that could change quite a lot. And these are the topics I love to think ahead. Like, okay, if I was to become a parent one day, how would that love change in the dynamics to my partner versus to a child? And does it matter? And if that love changes, because the reason I wonder about these things is that we live in a time where all too often marriages end faster than they became together. Like, it's so much easier now to just like leave your partner. And of course you can look at it from many aspects. Like, economically, we don't need each other anymore. Like, we've gone past that, at least not in Europe. Like, a woman doesn't need me economically. She can survive on her own very well. She can have her own house. And so she doesn't have to be with me unless I am the best part of whoever I can be for her. So when you eliminate these factors, then you start asking, what is the reason people are together? Is it because that they share a child? Is that the only reason? And is that enough of a reason to be together? And what happens to the love that brought them together in the first place once children come into the picture? So these are the aspects that I love to discuss with people, because what you learn is that what love means to people can be a very, very, very different thing. What love meant maybe to our parents or grandparents' generation, if you talk to them. So within this space, because I think that this is a discussion that should be held much more often, because I think that not enough of us think about these topics beyond what we have in front of us, beyond what will happen 10 years, 15 years down the line. Because the fact that when you stand in front of somebody on your wedding day, think of the words that you tell that person. You say, I promise to love you until death do us apart. Like, we're very comfortable to say these words to somebody, right? Everyone, you stand in a church, you marry them, you say, I will be by your side until death do us apart. Yet today, we all know people who've divorced within 3 years, 5 years, just like that. Or we live in countries now where you divorce and you marry again, you divorce, you marry again. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Maybe you've realized, like, you know what? In my lifetime, maybe I need to love several people. Like, I love someone for 10 years and then we fall out of love and you start it again. But then you need to go back to that original words. Like, to me, it gets interesting then. So, okay, so you get married 3 times and each time you say, I will love you until death do us part. So what is the value of those words? And hey, I've never been married, so what the hell do I know, right? So I have what I think has no value in this, because I've never been married and I've never been divorced and I never had children. But to me, I love to have these conversations with people who maybe already been married and divorced, or they already had children. And within these conversations, I often get fascinated of how little these topics are discussed, even among couples. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Faizal. You see, yeah, there are those aspects that we at times wouldn't have to overlook. Yes, I wanted to just pull a thread from that aspect, but thank you for your perspective. Yes, I also want to pull a thread from the same show we had, where you had very amazing remarks and encouraging words about what a minority should do to swap this would-be challenge, turn it into a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Gibson, would you please play me that video where Faizal was sharing about what you should do if you enter the room and you're one of the minorities there? Yes, as Gibson is preparing that, I want to send greetings to you all watching. Lady Mariam Luyombia, thank you for watching. Happy Mother's Day. Gauchu Palalumpa Alex, thank you for watching. Andrew Chamagero, thank you for watching. I want to send greetings to anyone out there. Maybe there are others I'm not seeing here, but I want to ask you all to please share out these messages. Share the link and have as many people as possible to interact here. It's a topic, another clip of Beyond the Challenge. Like I said last time,
so okay, usually
in life.
When
beyond that,
I do motivation,
something we haven't looked at. Gibson, are we about to get there?
This. So okay, usually when I do motivational speeches, especially at schools, because I realize how important this is at school. There's usually this example I guess.
Okay.
Because I know
okay, we can.
It really works on students.
We can have that.
I usually tell them is
yes,
that
yes,
it started early, but I started to practice this
the
in my
last
head.
time we're here, that we shall I
to
think
always
come back to.
Look at what is it that makes me stand out in any given situation. Like, and I told them, like, honestly, now it comes automatically. Because the reason I tell them this is that as an immigrant, you move to Sweden, and guess what? For the rest of your life, when you live here, you will always be a minority. There's nothing you can do about it. You can cry about it. You can think it's unfair. But yes, as a Black person in Sweden, you will always be a minority. Or a Black woman with a hijab, triple minority, right? Like there's facts. It always be facts. You can never undo that.
A black woman with a hijab.
3 strikes.
And actually, that's a bitter fact, by the way.
So, okay. So then what I've told myself, I always train my head. I walk into a room. The first thing I register is what makes me stand out here. And sometimes I walk into a room, I'm the only Black person there. Other times I'm walking, I'm the only Swedish person in a room. Other times I'm walking, I'm the only African. Sometimes I walk in, I'm the shortest person in the room. Other times, so I always try to see what is it. Other times I walk into a room, I'm the only man there. So to me, I always pay attention to this thing. Why? Because the way the human mind works is that it's much easier to remember the person that stood out rather than the masses. So Moses, you walk into a room, into a meeting, there are 10 women and you're the only man. Guess what? When these women go home to their families today to sit down with their family, oh, how was your day today? Oh, I had this meeting. Oh, there was this one man there in this room full of women. You will be remembered no matter what, right? Or you walk into the room, oh, yeah, I had this meeting. Oh, there was this one Black person there. Facts, you can't change it. So this is just the way the human mind works, right? Or in Uganda, you go into Makerere market, you will see one albino person. You will go home and you will talk about, hey, I saw an albino person today. Just facts. So when I think about this, I said, okay, I know now I will be remembered whether I was the guy with the wooden bicycle, they will remember me, or I was the only man there, or I was the only Black person there. So the next thing for me to do is to give them something to remember me by.
Wow.
Either I make an action
because already they will talk about me. I know they will talk about me like, wow, there was this one guy there. He was, and then I say, okay, what impact did I leave there? Because I know I have a lot of friends. If they walk into a room and they are the only immigrant in there, it's an intimidating situation to be in. And I think we've all encountered it. You walk in like, oh, wow, I don't belong. But why? I love that situation. And I say, okay, if I'm the only immigrant in here, every person in here will remember me. So I need now to say something of value, or I need to do something of value, because I see it as representation. Because if I leave that room or that meeting and I left a good impact, so maybe if they had terrible experiences before with immigrants, if they leave there now and I left them with something positive, they say, okay, maybe I was wrong. This is my naive hope, at least, is that I impacted them enough to think, okay, I will talk about this person, but now I will talk about something positive because he left me something worthy of talking about.
Yeah, sure.
So I think this exercise really helps to be okay with the fact, because I don't know why this is, well, in a sense, of course, I know the word, the way the word looks like, it's an issue to be a minority. And I say that with all the respect because, again, I have a mother who lived here equally as long as me. She's smarter than me. She's more educated than me. She's, the amount of jobs she has applied for and never just given the opportunity, you can fill a whole box with it. So I know what reality looks like. So therefore, but I always taken those lessons to see, okay, what can I do that's going to blow their mind? They already would. So this, I usually tell kids in school about this because this is an exercise that have helped me to always like, hey, they will look at you, they will remember you. So when they leave there, at least they remember you by the right things.
They remember you for the fact that you're the minority, you stand out, they will have something to talk about you. Yes, I want to put that to today's show. Mm-hmm. Beyond the challenge.
Yes.
Yes, we realize that on several occasions, some people are minorities psychologically.
Yes.
That even in the four walls of your house, you feel less privileged, you feel less lucky, you feel less able. And then here comes Faizal telling you to grab the opportunity, swap this would be disadvantage into an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something to remember you for. They are basically words. Maybe you have this ability, you have this courage to just grab the attention of the audience. When you're the only Black person, when you're the shortest in the room, when you're a Black woman with a hijab, triple minority. Mm-hmm. But I want us to find these practical tips mm-hmm. you can give to an immigrant somewhere out there in New York, London, whatever. Mm-hmm. So how practically can we merge these words into reality?
Yes.
You've lived in London, mm-hmm. USA, mm-hmm. and you're Swedish. Mm-hmm. So please, tap it down to something very practical and applicable.
Well, I think in the beginning of your question, you said, okay, maybe I possess the courage or the skills of daring to grab these opportunities, right? And most of the times, this is how people view it. But I want to challenge that and say, consider the actual phrase or the meaning of being a minority, right? Because we usually put a very negative association with it, right? But if you're on the other side, go to Google and search for the word unique, and then you search for the word minority, right? And put them side by side. What will astonish you, what you will find is that unique has the exact same words of description as minority. And yet every one of us listening in today can agree that being unique is something positive, right? Let's say you follow a football team and your football team won their series, that they're one of few. They're few of many, like they're the unique one, or your favorite player is unique because he stands out. So we use these positive words for something that is unique. Oh, I want to buy this purse because it's unique. I will be the only one carrying it. And people are like, wow, where did you get that purse? So then we add all these positive words to something that's unique. But then you stop and you think what the word minority means, and it means exactly the same thing. To be a minority is to stand out from the crowd, right? To be a minority is to be one of few, is to be so. I don't think it's about having the courage. It's about just realizing or associating what it actually means. So, because as I said in the last clip there I see, these are facts. We will never change them. If we live in these Western words, we will always be one of few. This is why there's a reason, like all my white friends, they always ask me about how come when you walk past another black man, you nod to him? What does that mean, right? And that's, again, us recognizing somebody else who we usually don't run into, the uniqueness of running into another black person. So the automatic thing to do is to say hello to them. You nod. You know, my white friends don't have this because they're also surrounded by white people. So these are the small details to pay attention to know that we're already standing out, we're already unique, and to own that rather than feeling that you're intimidated or that you're not welcome here or that you're not working in a situation. So in a practical sense, I think just pausing for a second and thinking about what it means to be somebody who is one of few in a situation. And I'll give you a practical example that happened not too long ago, a few weeks. Some of my friends and colleagues, they were astonished about the fact they had never heard about the term ashiness, right? Like when you haven't put lotion on your body and you're ashy. Like this is something that all Black people, we learn from the age of 0, like all our parents. You always need to look good. You don't want to be ashy in a public situation. So this was a whole new concept to my white friends and colleagues. Like, wow, we'd never heard of this. So in that moment, what happens is that I think, okay, I know as a Black person, you can think, wow, they're ignorant. They don't know this. But then you can pause and think, why should they know this? So this is a teaching moment. This is a situation for you where you can teach them something, especially if they're willing to learn. Can you hear me, Moses?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Let me just say yes. I thought I lost you there for a second.
No.
Yeah, so these are the situations where I've learned it's like everyday situation. You don't have to do anything astonishing all the time. You just get to realize the fact that whenever you interact with somebody who is in a minority situation, they don't necessarily have to think about the way you look at life because there's no reason for them to do it. But we have to think about these things every day. So every moment is always a teaching moment. So depending on if you attack it aggressively and you make them feel like, oh, wow, I've done something wrong because I asked a question I don't know anything about. Or you can take that opportunity to teach them something. And it could be as little as lotion. Why African people have lotion as standard, whereas they don't. Because once they started discussing this and wow, this is a whole new world that I never heard about. This is so enlightening to me. Where can I read more about this? And so, yeah, this is, I think, where I've taken it from is that don't always have to be big picture. It doesn't always have to be groundbreaking or changing the world. It happens every day in our small situations, whether they ask you about the context of your hair or your origin. Because this is, again, something I've realized that could be very sensitive for people. We live in these Western countries, and we know at some point when we meet new people, they will ask us where we're from, right? And this can be very sensitive for people. I know that's for a fact. They know, okay, I'm Norwegian or I'm Swedish. Don't ask me where I'm from, right? And we become very defensive because we know at some point this question will come because they want to know. And in your head, you're thinking, are they asking me this because my language skills are not good enough? So they want to know, they need to put me in a box, or are they asking because they're genuinely curious? And the more friends I speak to, the more I realize this is a sensitive question. People really feel uncomfortable with this question. I don't, I never do, but I need to realize that other people do. But then I always think, okay, just pause for a second and think about it, and think if the tables were turned, right? If we all live in Uganda and we see a Muzungu on the streets, just think about how excited the kids get when they see a Muzungu. They want to know, where you're from. Are you American? Are you German? Are you right? We do the same thing in another situation. We want to know because you don't see him every day. So you want to know which part of the world is he from. And I know it's naive to think sometimes there are no maybe racial undertext around that, but I think we can also contribute to that, to just think the other ways. Like, it's not that strange if you run into a person who doesn't look like 99% of the other people. At some point, you want to know where he's from. But I know now that we live in a time where we always think it's connected to him wanting to place me, so therefore he can treat me as less.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, Faizal. It's quite insightful. And yes, I want to thank you for that other angle of reflection. You see, Euroforum, just like any other social media platforms, part of our capital are basically words.
Yes.
So we do more of speaking than anything else. And some people at times find it hard to merge the practical bit of it with words. And I love it when you scale down something that, okay, look at a smaller picture.
Yes.
I mean, try it, okay, the idea of the word unique meaning the same as minority, actually, that was very new to me. Of course, I know what unique means, but I had never gone critically to Google it up to know what it means. So, yes, thank you. Here, there are a couple of viewers here who are watching in, and I've just seen a few interactions and echoes from the previous show. Fred Cassidier, I want to send greetings to you. He says the discussion has been a brainer for me for the last 1 month. But just as I was closing in on some ideas, here comes a discussion in context. Keep this stuff rolling, guys. Yes. Andrew Chamagero is also one of our regular guests here who comes in here every last end of the month. He's saying, wow, great conversation. And he's asking, when are you planning to scale this great project to our country back here? He's actually in Uganda. He's a journalist working with NTV.
Okay.
So, yes. And you remember, while introducing you, I highlighted that you run a tours and travel company.
Yes.
Tours of Stockholm, tours of New York, tours of London. And I also, sometime back, highlighted that you soon start tours of Oslo. And you also had a plan of starting tours of Kampala.
Yes.
So I want to imagine that it's in this very line that is asking, when are you planning on starting tours of Kampala?
Yes, it has been in the works for quite some time. I think it's a personal goal for me to do something like this. I think it will give me a natural connection back to my motherland. Of course, because of the pandemic and Corona, a lot of things had to be paused. So as you can imagine, working in tourism was 100% the first industry that was hit. But
Sure.
Thankfully now we're seeing that we're coming out on the other side of this light. So with all things going smoothly, we should pick up this project again to open Tours of Kampala. And again, I think it will be through the eyes of connecting the words I know now, the words I grew up in, Europe, North America, and showing them another side of what experiencing Uganda can be. And so for me, I rather take my time a little bit more to make it right, because I want them to be blown away, but I want it to be blown away in such a way that I love one of the previous shows you had is when someone says, okay, you don't become rich until you start feeling that you're giving back to your community. And then this resonated with me. And I think this is why Tours of Kampala will probably take a little bit more time, because I want to do it in a way where it it's a project that will survive beyond me and my time on this earth, that will be put in a way that people understand my vision and can implement it even without me being there. So yes, please do keep in touch. And in the near future, hopefully we'll have something that I can stand behind.
Okay. Just to read somebody's mind, in case there is somebody watching. As you mentioned tours of Kampala, someone would probably want to know that what is in there that you probably have burning in mind, what you would have on table if you're to start tours of Kampala. Is it something like a partnership with someone? Is it something like you need someone on ground to do a feasibility study for you? I mean, is there something that someone watching out there, maybe having a small or big tourist company that would maybe pick?
Well, okay, I'll give you the obvious challenges that I've seen so far with the fact that I've started tours of Stockholm and London and New York, right? And now I'm simplifying it, okay? But it has been so much easier to start companies in the cities because someone traveling to New York, they don't need to know who I am behind the company. They don't need to know if they can trust the payment process. They just go to my website, they put in their credit card details, they pay, they show up, and they do the tour. And it's an amazing journey. To start something in Africa, there are always the questions around, is this safe? Can I go to this website, tourkampala.com, and put in my credit card details, and to be sure that if I show up there, there will be a person to greet me or my money won't be taken from my credit card. These are the obvious issues. So again, of course, I understand this concern because even we as Ugandans in the diaspora sometimes can feel this like, if I send this money to my relatives, will it arrive? So the first thing for me is that I've always felt that I needed to leverage the fact that I'm now built a consistent enough ground in Europe for someone to feel that they can trust me. Like they can go to my website, they put in their details, and they know there is a trust element there. Either whether it says, okay, it's a Swedish company. Swedish company usually means it's safe, it's secure. I want to bring that same element to something that's booked in Kampala, that regardless of where you're booking from, you feel safe enough. Like we made a joke the other day here, is like someone was telling me that they're traveling to Nigeria, and they said, you don't trust anything that comes out of Nigeria in terms of like, they will scam you, they'll steal your money, they'll all these like issues that we all know. I've never heard of the Nigerian email scam. This is how they. So there's still those elements of not feeling, okay, I know I want to go travel to Africa, and in my head it's exotic, but will I feel safe when I get there? Will the person actually show up on time? Will my money be reimbursed if I'm not unhappy? Will all these issues is where I love to, break down into granularity and said, how can I, first and foremost, deliver service where someone feels just as safe with tours of Kampala as they feel with tours of Stockholm? And then the second thing is, how can I do it in such a way that I can educate people who know Kampala better than me to show the best of that? Because this has been the big reason why I've managed to scale up, because I know Stockholm like it's my home. I know New York, I know London, but I don't know Kampala. So I wouldn't claim to go there and do a tour as well as someone who lives in the city. So somewhere I want to find a way to meet these perfect words of what I've learned in the Western world in terms of security, safety, to bridge that gap where someone feels safe to operate on our site, and then at the same time get the true authentic experience of Kampala. And when I say authentic, I mean is that you don't want to land there and get there and someone is going to tell me what I want to hear because they want my money, right? There needs to be this element of, wow, I am getting the true experience. Because usually this is what I tell people when they say, okay, what's your why? Why do you have Tours of Stockholm? What's the reason it gets you up to drive it? And I usually answer, I want people to fall in love with Stockholm as much as I'm in love with Stockholm. This is the only goal of these tours. When someone comes on my tour, they spend 3-4 hours with me. After those 4 hours, I want them to feel, wow, I love this city as much as I do. And that's the same feeling I want to go for in Kampala. I want someone to do a tour in Kampala and feel, wow, I love this city. And what is love? It's so abstract. You can't put it down on paper. So this is the feeling I need to find and go for and connect with people. So that's the short answer, I guess, in what that project, which are the obvious challenges that he needs to go through before he can put into action.
Yes, yes, it seems simple but very elaborate and detailed in actually to someone who would love to pick something. Yes, it was basically Andrew Chamagiro who posed that question. And Andrew, I believe you've got the whole package of this. And in whatever actually you said is casting a message to anyone out there in the tourism industry that there is a potential partner, but there is skepticism, there are trust issues that people have. Exactly. Is actually Faizal Luttamaguzi Musajja wa Rugave, and as he sounds, is really so passionate about giving back to his Ugandan community. But he also has, yes, he needs to scrutinize the line of partnership he would love to work with. So keep that in mind for you out there watching, and maybe in future I would love to strike a partnership with him. And yes, to anyone else that would love to maybe pick something from how you manage out these three companies. You're a man in my age, and you're having three companies in three different cities. And the last time I talked to you, you plan on having a chain in several capital cities.
Yes.
Anything from personal experience you would share, maybe to pull up someone in the same industry as you, or probably any other sort of business, because concepts in business are almost the same. Mm-hmm. How have you managed to keep so calm amidst the wave and keep yourself surviving?
You say keep calm during the pandemic? Or in general, just
it's in general. The pandemic, yes, you told us how you've managed.
Yes,
but right now, it's basically the general business tips, but that line of tourism.
Yes, in the line of tourism, I think, okay, the obvious cliche answer is I love what I do. Like, I love the human interaction. Like, there's no version where I don't get excited when somebody comes to one of my cities and they do one of my tours, and I want to know where they're from, why they chose the city. And it all boils down to, remember in our first conversation, you asked me what would be my dream role in the future. And I said a philosopher, right? Mm-hmm. This is me interacting with people, my tours is the early version of that, right? Just like you should break it down. You think I get paid to socialize. I'm a professional socializer. This is what I do, honestly. Like, so to me, like, there's no version of that I don't like. Like, I like people. I like to understand their personal stories, where they're from, and then how we connect. And I love to interact with skeptics, especially if you're skeptic. Because, of course, we're sitting here, we're talking about challenges, right? Being a minority in a country where, you don't look or sound like everyone else. Just try yourself to imagine. I've been running tours of Stockholm for 6-7 years now. Just imagine how many times somebody goes to my website, they say, oh, I'm going to Stockholm. So in their head already, they start getting a picture of what they're getting. I'm going to meet a blonde, 2 meters tall person. They're going to greet me. They represent Sweden or Stockholm because they're from, and I show up. Can you imagine yourself how many times that, oh, you're the guy that time that has happened? And to me, what happens in those moments, right? There have been people who've been skeptical. They said, this is not what I signed up for. And what do they mean by that? Because if you book a trip to Uganda in Kampala and you say, I'm going to do a tour in Kampala, already in your mind, you're imagining you're going to interact with a Black person, right? That's just normal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So if you show up to the meeting location and you meet a Muzungu, you would be, what? Who are you, right? So same thing happens here. So I've had people who've been like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. And I've had people like, oh, wow, this is exciting. I didn't know there were this many Black people in Sweden. So I live for those moments. Because again, it's an opportunity to show maybe a different side of Sweden. And it's an opportunity to, again, teaching moments. So the easy answer is, first of all, I love what I do. So that usually helps quite a long way to go. And then the second reason to say, you're asking me how am I keeping so calm, is that the reason I wanted to do this, I used to have a life where I had a job, 9 to 5, I go to work. And the reason I pushed so hard to do this is because I wanted to own more of my own time. Right? So by actually working harder, I started working less, if that makes sense. As in, okay, for the first 1 year, you needed to pause everything, not going out for clubs, not going to parties. You just had this vision and you believe in it. But once you actually prove to yourself that it worked, then you can step back and you own more of your time. So by having these operations, I have more of my time for myself. And by having more of my time for myself, okay, we all know it every day. Like Monday to Friday, you work, you don't have time. You don't have time for you. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to work out. On the weekends, you have you time. And then you slow down, you calm down, and it's you time. So I think it's the same concept here. As in, the only thing I've tried to do is to make my Monday to Sunday weekends where I choose myself what I choose to do or not. And so, because I think the old way of looking at it, people thought to run your own business usually means it takes more of your time. And I think it's true to some extent. If you're running a shop or a store and you are the one who needs to be there every day, of course you have less time. But me, one of the biggest goals was to free up more of my time. I never lost this goal. I said, some people have goals, I want to be rich, like ridiculously rich, right? And then they work 24 hours a day. They never see their family, their loved ones. That's one way. For me, I was like, no, I need to start my own business so I can have more time for myself. So I can sit in Euroforums once every 3 weeks because I can afford that time-wise. So I think these are the two answers. First, I love what I do, and I was very clear on why I wanted to do it.
Yes, as you speak, I take notes. Yes, I don't want the rest of the world to benefit from the brains that we host here.
Yes.
And we are only here asking them questions. And yes, we shall take a short break. Before that, I'll read a comment here from Isian UG. Yeah, he says, thank you so much, Euroforum. UG, greetings to Mr. Faizal Luttamaguzi. Thank you for the rest of the members who responded positively to the Ginger charity trip. We had a successful trip. Our next edition will be communicated as soon as possible. Yes, yes, there was a charity run somewhere in Uganda, and this team is in partnership with Euroforum. And there is a question which you probably already answered. He was asking that what it takes to be in partnership with you in Kampala.
Write to me on Facebook. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a conversation. I would love to hear who you are, what your journey is. I think that's always the best start. Just don't be afraid to reach out to people. I do that all the time. If I see somebody I think are interesting, I write to them. So I expect the same thing back. So please, if you're interested, write to me. Let's have a conversation.
Yes, thank you. And Facebook name is Faizal Luttamaguzi as it stands here. Sharon Namulime, she says, wow, the power of passion. Yes, a great thank you to anyone out there. I'm not seeing here. I'm using a short screen to swap through the different comments. Yes, we shall take a short break. And just after that, there is a practical challenge you shared in your previous show. There is a clip about something to do with applying for employment and the response you got. I'll ask Gibson to play that clip just after the advert. Yes, we shall take a short break and come in to take the last phase of this show. We take a break for now. Keep on Euroforum. Irene Nantume ndi Muzadde. As you all know, this today is Mother's Day, and yeah, it's a day to bring up those memories. Okay. Okay, yes. That was a song request by one of our mothers, mother to this nation, Hajat Mariam Muyombia. And I really hope the message is loud and clear. It's actually a prayer, if I may summarize it that way. Thank you so much for the message. And yes, Faisal, we want to be a bit more practical. I mean, merge things down. In your previous show, you shared an experience, something that happened along the streets of London. Gibson, could you please pull up that video clip?
Well, I think it's good that you do raise these questions of
Yes.
Mental health, or you have challenges that it's only in your head, or you don't know how, you can't see a way out. And I think, again, we've all been there. I think I've been in situations where I thought I deserved a certain outcome and I didn't get it. And I remember a specific situation. I was on the streets of London. I applied for this job, and by all accounts, I thought I deserve this job, and they didn't give it to me. And I called him up, and he told me specifically, he's like, yeah, you did a great interview, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't feel comfortable hiring a Black person. This is my personal opinion. I stick with it. It's my company. Goodbye. Click. Right? And the reason I bring up this situation, because I remember how angry I got at the universe, at God, and started saying, where do I go from here? There's no level of unfairness about this. How can I have done everything right by the book, and yet this person tells me, yeah, I just don't feel like, you might be a great guy, but no. And I remember exactly, I was on the streets of London, and I cried and I yelled, and I was like, I give up on you. I was talking to God, the big guy upstairs, and I was like, why do you do this? Why? And I had this huge moment of just yelling on the streets. And the reason why it sticks to me is because it's that, exactly. It's usually when you think there is no other outcome, the way the universe works out is because it has something better in store for you. And for someone, it might just sound like words, but to me, I genuinely believe this, because all the good examples I've seen in my life has been exactly that, is that when I'm denied something I thought I had the right to, it usually is because around the corner comes something that's even more satisfactory, that even gives not only me, but the people around me more. So I think I've just, over the years, become steadfast in that notion and believe blindly in it. So I guess to answer your question directly, what do you do when there are no more outlets left? Well, the beautiful thing now is we live in a connected world. I don't think we could say that 15 or 20 years ago. So reach out, ask for help, and ask for advice or ask for input, because I think we are many enough that someone has something of value to give you.
Yes, yes, Faisal, you heard yourself. You heard yourself yelling on the streets of London. Yes, by the way, I realized that I laughed, but this, of course, this wasn't something to laugh about. Yes, because these are actually challenges we face every other day. Different angles, but of course, it's always the same challenges. We may be at the different spots of the radius, but we're in the same circle. Okay, now speak to an immigrant, Faisal. Just guide an immigrant, because many of these things, why I want you to separate them from the Faisal I see or the Faisal I know, and generalize it to people out there that on so many occasions you sound very much above the average, in as much as you want to keep yourself very humble. Okay, people face these challenges. Someone blasts them direct in their faces that, okay, I cannot employ you. And someone feels so qualified. Like I cited out some time back that engineers, doctors, lawyers, high-profile people leave their countries and come here. And they start right from zero. At times, it's even in minuses. You managed to hang in there until the universe availed something for you. How long should someone hang in? Of course, it's an abstract question and not needing a period of time. But guide someone on what to do in that window when things don't seem to add up. Because we often encourage people to plan, save, make structures, but sometimes structures are beaten, are crushed down. You are very qualified, but someone told you, I don't feel comfortable hiring a black man. So what next? So would you please guide if you're out there?
Sorry, yes. It was an interesting example to look back at because, of course, it takes you back emotionally, how you felt back then. And of course, as you say, now in hindsight, with all the facts on the table, you could laugh at it because I said, yes, it became even better for me. But if I drag myself back all those years standing there and thinking how I felt, because you put all your effort, all your time, and all your energy into this one opportunity, because at that point, it was your only opportunity. That's all you knew. And to be hit so bluntly, like when you know that they think so, I think so, I am qualified. But this person calls you up and said, it's my company. Mm-hmm. I started it. I am the CEO. I am the boss. I am the gatekeeper. I am the mother. I'm the father. I'm the everything. So what I say goes. I don't care that you've interviewed 4 other people and they said you're qualified. I say you're not coming in and you're not coming in. Door shut. And as I say in that clip, the first feeling was of despair. Like, I cried. Like I literally cried, a grown man saying, this city is beating me down. I'm really being beat right now. I cannot see another outlet. London is tough. It's a tough city. And I know that because I've lived there for many years. And at that moment, I felt I was beat, right? That there was no more energy in me. And again, as I say in the clip, I was angry at God. I was angry at the universe because I said, everything I've learned up until this point is that if you do good, good will come to you. So why is the outcome the complete opposite? Why am I being judged on something I can't impact? Why am I being judged on something that is my birthright? Like God has made me who I am, yet this is now to my disadvantage. And of course, this example is not unique to me. This is why I think you're asking a really good question. So probably 100% of all the people listening today has in one form or another experienced this exact feeling, whether it is because of race or because of their gender or because of whatever, but 100% of people listening have experienced this feeling. And I think we all can share that. But again, I think, what interesting in that example, like why it's such a blessing in disguise. Because along the years, what I've realized is actually much better to deal with an enemy that is an obvious enemy versus someone that you have to prove exists. And what do I mean by that? In this instance, he was very clear, like, I am your enemy. You're not coming through me, right? He tells you to your face, you break down for that moment, but we live in words where there could be subtle racism, right? Maybe they won't tell you, you go to the bank today, you want a loan to buy a house in Norway. They won't tell you, I'm not going to give you this loan because you're black. They will never tell you that. They'll give you another reason. And then you walk out of there and you're like, was that the true reason? Or is it because something else? And then you need to second guess yourself. That's actually worse, right? Where you need to first convince yourself that what I'm seeing is true. Like you need to prove that the enemy is actually against you. I call that the enemy, people. So for him to give it straight to my face was actually liberating because then I could let it go and move on. The psychological toll of not being sure, always thinking, am I being treated differently because of my color of my skin or is it something else? And then you start to second guess yourself and you try to change a million things, right? So this is where the actual true hardship is in those spaces. And unfortunately, we live in countries where this is more the norm, where people won't tell you to your face. They will take action in other ways and make you second doubt yourself. So that's what I mean is that looking back now, this is why I thank him for being so straight with me. I know that it would have been worse imagine if he had actually hired me. So he hires me, and then I spend a number of years in that work, and I'm being mistreated, and I don't know why. Or, like you said, he didn't give me the reason. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought, qualification-wise. And I started guessing my qualifications. So this is what I mean is sometimes this could be good for you to know. It's like, okay, wow, I can't change this. So I need to be sad for as long as I need to be sad. Take your time to moan to mourn the feeling if you need to. But then the tip I will give to people is to always try to come back to the fact that you're in control. And I think that's my biggest lesson is that even if I'm just tricking my brain, but the tricks even works, just come back to the fact that I am in control. Because when that happens, you become proactive. You're not relying on somebody else's actions. Okay, because what has happened is I'll give you an example, right? In the sense of if I walk around on the street today and a person looks at me and yells at me and says, hey, you black, pop, 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 feel it, right? And they're angry at me. I don't even react. And people say, why don't you react? Like, you should be angry. You should be outraged. He just called you a bad name because of the fact that you're black. And I said, just think about what just happened there in moments like this, right? A random person who doesn't know you personally, he wants to hurt you, so he yells out the first obvious thing he can see. And I know we've seen this like among children. Like if someone wants to tease somebody, you look for the obvious thing. What is obvious? Oh, okay, his tooth is a little bit crooked. Hey, your tooth is crooked. And then they tease you for this. So they don't know you, so they need to grasp whatever they can grab. And for us, the most obvious thing is the color of our skin. And then you think, okay, he doesn't know me personally, so therefore it can't be to me personally. It must be, he has maybe a bad experience historically. Maybe he's having a tough time at home. Maybe, so you then start realizing there are other factors and it's not about you. And then you say, okay, how can I control? And what is it that I control? My reaction. This is the only thing in this situation that I can control. And this is exactly what happened in that moment in London. After I've cried and I've given up on the universe and God, and I felt my tank was empty. There was nowhere to go because my options were out. And I said, okay, the only thing I can control is my own actions. From here on, I can let this define me. I can go and tell everybody about this experience. Like, hey, do you know I've been treated unfairly? The word is that, but the only reason I brought up this example with you because we're talking in the context of things, but I've never again brought this up to anybody as a reason for, hey, they don't like me, so I didn't. No. And like I said, okay, this cannot define me. And I didn't bring it up because I don't want to. I said it cannot define me. I refuse for it to define my personal journey. Because all these years, do you think he remembers me?
Not at all. I don't think so.
Exactly. He does not remember the conversation. I'm insignificant to him. So if I had let that moment define me, I would be the only one carrying it throughout my whole life. The person who caused me the pain doesn't even remember having the conversation with me. To him, it was just another Wednesday and he moved on with the life. So I realized, like, don't let this define you. You cannot sit with this pain because he won't care. You will only be one guy carrying it. So these are the mental exercise I've learned that works in regards to the situation. First of all, you say, okay, don't let a situation like this define me. And then second of all, I am in control. So what is it that I can do to control this situation? And we're experiencing it again every day in these small situations. So again, as we're talking now, right? This gentleman from Uganda, and I think he's a gentleman, is Zayan. He writes, okay, if I want to get involved with you, what should I do? And you say, okay, write to me. So then he takes charge and he's in control and he writes to me. So I've already got a message from him. This is him taking control of the situation. He listens to this. He said, okay, I'm picking something up from here. He acts on it. So these are the everyday actions I think we need to teach our brains to, okay, what is it that I can act in this very moment? Oh, it's an interesting company. Okay, I'll give you, after this call, I can send you an email that I have. for many, many years, this was my Bible when it came to applying for jobs, this email. And I've shared it with as many people as possible because it has helped me so many times. And I'm more than happy to share with other people to help them. After this incident happened in London, I said, okay, there will always be situations beyond my control. So what is it that I need to do? I need to stop applying for jobs that are out there, that, hey, we're looking for somebody. And then I applied and said, you're not the one we're looking for, move. So I said, I need to start creating jobs that are not out there for myself. So what I did is I wrote this email template. I said, hello, my name is Faizal Luttamaguzi, and I am your next employee. Allow me to explain why. And then I continue with this email. And I tell them why they need to hire me. I tell them why they need to find a position for me. So then what happened is that I started going around looking for companies that I wanted to work with that were not looking for people. Because if you apply for a job that is advertised, you know already, okay, I need to compete with other people, first thing. And then I need to convince somebody who has a personal preference already. But if I knock on the door with an email to a company who's not looking for somebody, but I feel I want to work here. Moses, you told me you're an engineer, right? In a perfect world, maybe you said, I want to do engineering work in Norway, in Oslo. So this is what I would do. Say, hello, my name is Moses Mugisha, and I am your next employee, and this is why. And then you start telling them why you're bringing value to this company, and you send them this email. So when I say knocking on doors, after a while, I realized it was one email, one template, where I describe myself and why I am the next value. And then all I have to do is to send this email a minimum of 3 times a week. This is the minimum I gave myself. I said 3 times a week, I need to send this email out to various companies. And I'm only looking for those where I feel I want to work and they're not looking for anybody. Because imagine you're sitting on the other side of that table and you get this email and someone says, like, who is this person? Who does it think they are? They say they are our next employee. Just by that sentence, you get curious. Okay, let me read what he has to say. So at least already there you got their attention. So this actually helped me to find my next job where I stopped looking for the ones that are obvious. I started looking for what I felt I'm now in control. I'm the one sending out the emails. I have this email and it has worked wonders for me. And after that, I've shared it with everyone who wants it. I said, take this, use it. And I can confidently say I've had many friends who find jobs or employment this way by always trying to come back to the fact that what is it that you can control and how can you act on it?
Faisal, you and this gentleman here, Andrew Chamagelo, you're actually the 2 people I have regular shows with every month, that at least I know we have a slot every month. And one thing you share in common, and I love about you, is that you don't only speak in abstract sense, but you bring things to context. I mean, you try to use personal experiences and make sense out of many of these things, because we are talking about beyond the challenge. Mm-hmm. One person would go quote the Chinua Achebe's, of course, what Obama has written, but it carries it becomes more appealing when you use part of your personal experience. Mm. I want to believe that someone watching out there is taking a pen and a paper and noting down many of these aspects, because it's a journey walked that is easier to copy and paste in your life. Maybe at times they may not plug in exactly as you wish, but at least there is a thread, something you could take with yourself. Freddy Cassidier, I want to especially thank you, Freddy Cassidier, that you have a chain of interactions you've kept on Euroforum live shows since you started watching us. Thank you so much, and their intelligent reflections. You somewhere hinted that push until you nail it. Okay, I think that's when we shared a clip where you were blasted direct in your face when you applied for employment. He says, push until you nail it. No need to accept failing. Ask the hard questions. Why did I fail? Then evolve methods of work, proper work. And he also adds, when you shared about the bank experience, he says, a bank example is very good. I faced that nonsense here in Georgia. I just chose to wear that mask, that face of no matter the odds, I got a goal. I have since opened 2 accounts in the top banks here, and the future I know is tough, but I'm set for it. Bad days and good days, I'll cry, but I'm sure I shall always stand up and move forward. I take the steering wheel. Thank you, Fred Cassidy. I love such reflections. And also to inform you, on the 29th, that will be the last Sunday of this month, we shall be with this gentleman here, Andrew Chamagero. In his last show, there is a reflection he shared. It's actually fact in my view. When he quoted something in line with the law of attraction, that the universe will always plug you to your match, that you cannot send out negative energy and you expect to get back positive energy. So, and that I've witnessed and seen in so many occasions. And you also shared a closely similar aspect in your last show. I'll bring it back so you can also expound more on that. Yes, but just for you, to you, our viewers, I want to appreciate you so much. To the mothers watching, sisters, aunties, happy Mother's Day. You mean so much to this world. You make this world feel complete. Ruth, Rita Aseru, thank you for watching. Rizik Topaz, thank you for watching. And many others I may not have seen. Faizal.
Yes.
Yes, this show I'm trying to pick a leaf, all threads from the previous show. Somewhere when I asked you something about entitlement.
Yes.
Yes, I remember you saying that you don't feel entitled to anything, which somewhat sounded strange. That at one point, I mean, there is a time when we feel, being a lawyer, having spent over 15 years in school, when I acquire my degree and get employment somewhere, I feel I've attained something. I feel I'm entitled to respect. If I'm a doctor, I've earned that title. I mean, I was named Faizal Luttamaguzi, but I worked my fingers off to attain a title. Why don't I feel entitled? Titles, to privileges. Yes, the feeling of not being entitled to anything. You also said that you're thankful for the fact that you can think. That instead of feeling entitled about things, and you actually even say that you don't feel entitled to life. It felt strange. But now let us pull up the practical bit in this. Most often in these well-to-do countries, we have very good systems where when you work, you pay tax. And in that, you feel that you've done, I mean, you've made a contribution to the national cake. So when you're in need, when you're jobless, when you need the system to come in for you, I feel you're entitled to that service because you've worked for it. So are there cases where in looking beyond the challenge, the entitlement overshadows our abilities and renders us armless?
Well, it is a really, really good topic, this entitlement, being or not being. What usually strikes me is that whoever we're interacting with, or whenever, we are only seeing the results of that person's work. We're never there to see the actual work.
Exactly.
We can only judge the results. Whether, the way a person speaks. Oh, wow, this person speaks Spanish. That's impressive. And then we can, wow, that's impressive. And then we give him praise for this. But we're only giving praise for the results. We don't know what it took for this person to learn Spanish. We don't know if it was easy or hard. We don't know if their engineering degree is like, oh, you have an engineering degree. We're only judging the results. We don't know if he actually worked for hours in the library or if he's cheated his way through school by looking at his classmates. We have no idea of this. So this is when I say I don't feel entitled, is because the work that you do, the work that you put in, you said like, okay, this is a journey that's only for you or yourself. Nobody can ever see that. They can only judge you on the results of what they see. Same thing when we, see a musician who releases a new album. Oh, but okay, what did it take for them to put in this hard work? Whether it's Beyonce or we saw Michael Jackson, we said, wow, he's so talented, he's so talented. But then he said, no, it's because I put the hours in. I work every day. Or we watch football and Cristiano Ronaldo. We call him talented, but we don't know the work he's put behind or the sacrifices he's made. So this is what I mean is that both for good and bad, when we say there's you can only judge the results. You can never see the work. And that's why I said I never feel entitled to get it, is that I can only rely on the fact that my results will be good enough, they will stand out from the crowd enough for someone to say, wow, there is more to this person, or there is more behind this results that I would like to see more of. So going back to that, when you say, okay, when we feel entitled that we put in the work and we paid our taxes and now we expect something back. Let me pose a question back to you. Uganda, right? We know it's not at all as a smooth system as in Sweden or Norway or Finland. We know that in Uganda,
not even close.
Exactly. Like, okay, you know you pay your electricity bill every month, but yet you don't get your electricity. There are moments where it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, there's no electricity. You're not getting it. Why? Just the way it is. And what happens then? Do we feel about, I'm entitled to this electricity?
Yeah.
Right? Do we say that? No, we say, okay, I got to find a solution. My children need to do their homework. They need light. So I go buy a generator or I find a way to, because there we don't rely on the system to work, even though we know I've paid my hard-earned money for this to work, yet it's not working. So, and in that broken system, what happens eventually, we've just learned to, okay, I got to find a way to survive no matter what. I can't rely on the system. And then we move here and we come to a system that's actually working. Right? And then we start leaning back and then we say, okay, I'm now relying on the system. I pay my electricity bill every month and the electricity will come each month. And somewhere we lose our jago, right? Our sense of, okay, finding the solution, because then what happens, the day you do pay your bill in Norway and the electricity doesn't come, then you're like, I'm outraged. I need to write an angry Facebook post, rather than thinking, okay, back in Uganda, I would have been proactive. I would have found a solution, because I don't put my reliance on external factors because they're not trustworthy. So I think it's a balance there to somehow use the benefits of being in a system that works, but at the same time not losing the fact that you're still in control. You're the one who can affect this, because I think we forget somehow how fragile even this system is. Last week, one of the Swedish banks had a technical problem, so all the people in that bank couldn't access their money. You know how worrying that is? Because we live in a cashless society today up north. So if someone had an attack on the infrastructure and you can't access your money in a cash machine, what do you do? So I think sometimes we need to remember it's much more fragile than what we think it is. So then put yourself in that situation. If you wake up today, you try to go online to your bank, you can't access your money. What happens then? What do you do? And that's what I mean is that we would, of course, like, oh, well, I feel entitled to get my money. How can you steal my money? But so I think just to do the mental exercise is like, oh, wow, okay, if actually the digital system crashed, I would be screwed. So what's my next step? What's my step 2, 3, and 4? To just go there and think about it and maybe plan for that. To realize, okay, I can't call the system and be angry. I need to make a move myself. I need to be in charge of that situation. So I guess that's what I mean when I said, don't get too comfortable in the entitlement. Don't think that you're entitled, because I think, if anything, Corona taught us that. It affected us all 100%. We all get equally as angry. And some of us are still angry, want to get money back, while others said, okay, how can I proactively use this to better my own situation? Because in those, I think I'm sometimes fascinated by people who are good at prospering in bad situations. Not in bad situations, they take advantage of bad situations. Like, I know that in itself is terrible, but then you also wonder why they're so good at this. When there is a recession, have you noticed, like historically, if you look at the data, every time there's a recession, all the countries that there's no money, there are always individuals or people who then become richer. Or there is a pandemic, and then all of a sudden people, they open up a new business where they're selling equipment to the hospitals and they become rich. While the rest of the world, we're all locked at home. And then, like, opportunists, this is what I call them, right? People who are good at seeing an opportunity and said, okay, the rest of the world is falling this way, but I'm going to find, and these examples I'm giving, I'm not in a moral sense, I can't say that I stand behind them. Like, you shouldn't prosper on other people's downfall, but at least they think about it. So then they say, okay, the system is breaking down. I somehow proactively work to make sure that I am surviving. And so I think just going there mentally and thinking about these things, this is what I meant last time I said, I'm thankful for the fact that I can think. Just to give time to think about these things gives so much to myself. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what I meant.
Yes, thank you so much. When I posted on one of my social media platforms that we were to host you, someone actually rarely watches Euroforum shows, given the fact that they collide with her time of work.
Yes.
But this time around, she said, I love this guy. I must tune in to listen to this guy. So, and I believe so many people out there are usually fascinated at the way you reflect deeply on things. Yes, we are nearing the end, and there are comments in here. Rizik Topaz, thank you for this comment, and thank you for your consistent interaction during Eurofarm live shows. The word entitlement gives room to a lot of reflection, and just now I realized how arrogant the word is in itself. Yes, indeed, it is arrogant. And to those who have taken time off to share this issue, I want to especially thank you. All your forum members who have done sharing, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Mr. Andrew Chamagero, Omuntu Wawansi. I see you've shared this show. And I believe Abantu Bawansi are getting nuggets of knowledge from Faizal. Thank you, Izianuji, for sharing. Thank you, Ajat Mariam Liombia, and many others I may not have seen. Please keep sharing this feed. People need to get these nuggets of knowledge from personal experience. Moes Annington also has a comment here. He says, thank you so much, Faizal, for not only giving practical advice, but inspiration and encouraging words. It is so interesting that you walk the talk and your words reflect the facts and experience you've gone through. This makes you different from the so-called motivational speakers who just assume that a rabbit can turn into an elephant overnight. Okay, I surely agree with you. Yes, I surely agree with you. That, of course, the idea of quoting, the famous writers is good, but it should be in 1:9 ratio. 9, it should be your entire personal input. And then the 1, let us hear what Barack Obama said, Martin Luther King said, and Chinua Achebe said. Yes, thank you. And there is a team, a group of people who are working so hard to pull off the Euro Cranes tournament this year. We've hosted them before here, and allow me also share something about this. To you, a Ugandan out there, this is an international event. We shall be having guests from Uganda, and this tournament will be held in Copenhagen, Denmark. 7 teams will participate: Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. And this will be a football tournament where we expect so many Ugandans from all walks of life. We shall have a tournament. It will be from 8th to 10th July. We shall have a football tournament. And right after, we shall have a social event where we shall have interactions. And of course, we expect speakers from different angles of the world. So please mark off the dates. 8th July, the Eurocrane tournament. All stops, all trains, planes, cars, boats should be heading to Copenhagen, Denmark. Mark of the date. And as we wind up, Faizal,
Yes.
I rarely have enough of you. I mean, as you speak, you're surely speaking music to my ears. I love your depth of reflection. I love how you own your messages you share. It is more of I went through this, I remember that, from this I learned this. You move me a lot. We shall just take it, wind it up from here. Okay, there is another comment. This I won't leave. Yes, I love it that you interact with our viewers. This is perfect. Namlima Sharon also says, I agree with the Faizal. Entitlement just keeps us in the comfort zones, and we can't be provocative, proactive, and creative enough to avoid disappointments. Yes, as Rizik dropped a comment about how she feels entitlement sounds quite very arrogant. I also remembered that one person who speaks so much against the habit, the selfish and primitive habit of people, many of them who are very established in Norway here, who cheat train tickets. I mean, when I say established, I'm talking about people who know their future in Norway. Those who are still, of course, unsure of what happens tomorrow, with all due respect, I reserve my comments. But to anyone who is very certain you have a very established job and family, and you find pride, in clearing all bills, but your transport fees, you want to just look around in this wagon. There are no conductors. So I think this is also a spot of entitlement, where you don't feel entitled to serving the greater good. Obliged to serving the greater good, but entitled to thinking. And sometimes when I engage people, their answers are usually and the same person is on social media asking someone in the government office to stop cheating tax. And then you wonder, okay, yes, Faizal Luttamaguzi, thank you so much. May you please give your closing remarks as we wind up.
Yes, of course. First, I want to thank everybody who's been listening and so proactive in the chat. It really motivates me to continue having these win-win conversations with us all. So I want to thank you all. Also, happy Mother's Day to all of you out there who's celebrating it today. And of course, a big thank you to you, Moses, for hosting me yet again. And I honestly and deeply hope that I can interact in more situations with you as the host and everyone else listening. And hopefully all of us together will build the Ugandan community of our dreams. Because I think that there is a lot of cornerstones here for us to build something sustainable. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Faizal. Faizal, I forgot to highlight to the viewer out there that Faizal is, yes, we've talked so much about the tours of Stockholm, but something credible that I feel should be highlighted is that his company, Tours of Stockholm, in 2019, as much as I remember, you may put me right, the company won an award of the best environmental innovator of the year, 2019. Yes. And I think when we bring up such achievements, when we highlight such achievements, it's not to, put other people or praise other people over others, but it is only and plainly about motivation and feeling proud of the Ugandan asset all over the world.
Yes.
So, yes, he's the gentleman, and also his concept is hinged on the wooden bike trips. Yes, and I think that was the reason you won that award.
Correct.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yes, I felt that was very important to highlight. Yes, but away from that, I would love to inform you that next Wednesday, during Nursery, my co-hosts living in Sweden will be hosting Simon Senkai our guests previously last Sunday, and he will also be having a series of interactions on Euroforum, just as we have Andrew Chamageo every last Sunday of the month, and every second Sunday of the month, we shall be having either second Sunday or second Saturday, depending on the program. We shall be having Faizal Luttamaguzi, the gentleman right here. And the concept will always be something to inspire in line with him having managed to make it, to have a company to invest in the diaspora. So most often during the summer, the fact that there will be so many tourists around, he will be sharing live shows when he's carrying out his tourist trips. And of course, in that, he will be welcoming questions and additions where need be. So, but at least mark those dates off. Every second Sunday of the month, we shall be having Faizal Luttamaguzi. And every first Sunday of the month, we shall be having Simon Senkai. The last Sunday of the month, we shall be having Andrew Chamagero. And of course, not forgetting, we are open to interactions, people's stories, and the journeys people have walked. A special thank you to anyone who has kept on the show till the end. Thank you so much, anyone else out there who has shared the show and keeps on spreading the word Euroforum does. Happy Mother's Day as we wind up to all the mothers out there. And the mother figures, there are people who have never had kids, but they are actually wearing mother figures and doing a tremendous job out there in bringing up children in very comfortable and inspiring environments. Moses Mugisha is my name. I'm right here in Oslo, Norway. Remember, 8th to 10th July, the Euro Crane Tournament. Many Ugandans will be meeting, and we shall make this happen. We love you so much, respect you so much, and please tune in. Faizal Luttamaguzi, we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for that open mind and willing to impact and serve your community. Thank you,
everybody, and happy Sunday.
Yes. Gibson, thank you so much, the man behind the camera. You do a great work. Gibson is a colleague in Uganda, and we're proud to have a team that is typically international. Thank you so much. We sign out. Nice Sunday evening.